As Elizabeth Cady Stanton, I devoted my life to the fight for women's rights. Born in 1815, I was fueled by a passion for equality after witnessing injustices in my own family. I co-organized the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848, where we declared that all men and women are created equal. My writings and activism paved the way for future generations, rallying for suffrage, education, and social reform. My journey continues. Fighting for equality, the courageous journey of Elizabeth Stanton. Elizabeth Cady Stanton is widely recognized as one of the most influential figures in the women's rights movement in the United States. Her tireless efforts and dedication to the cause of women's suffrage and equal rights have left an indelible mark on the history of the country. Born on November 12, 1815, in Johnstown, New York, Elizabeth was the eighth of 11 children in a prominent and wealthy family. Her father, Daniel Cady, was a lawyer and judge, and her mother, Margaret Livingston Cady, came from a prominent family of New York politicians. Growing up in a household that valued education and social activism, Elizabeth was exposed to the issues of inequality and discrimination from a young age. Despite being born into a privileged family, Elizabeth's childhood was not without struggles. Her brother, Eleazar, died at the age of 20, and her father suffered from severe financial losses. These events had a profound impact on Elizabeth, who often felt that she was not taken seriously by her father because she was a girl. She once remarked, "I was early taught to work as well as play. My life has been one long, happy holiday, full of work and full of play. I dropped the worry on the way, and God was good to me every day." This quote reflects Elizabeth's resilient and determined spirit, which would guide her throughout her life. Despite the societal expectations for women at the time, Elizabeth was determined to receive an education. She attended the Johnstown Academy, where she excelled in subjects such as mathematics, science, and languages. However, she was often frustrated by the lack of opportunities for women to pursue higher education. This fueled her desire for women's rights and equality, and she later remarked, "The moment we begin to fear the opinions of others and hesitate to tell the truth that is in us, and from motives of policy are silent when we should speak, the divine floods of light and life no longer flow into our souls." In 1830, at the age of 15, Elizabeth met Henry Brewster Stanton, a young lawyer and abolitionist at the Seneca Falls Convention. Despite their significant age difference, the two fell in love and were married in 1840. Henry fully supported Elizabeth's passion for women's rights and encouraged her to pursue her activism. Together, they had 7 children, and Henry played an essential role in taking care of the household and children while Elizabeth traveled and advocated for women's rights. In 1848, Elizabeth attended the Seneca Falls Convention, which marked the beginning of the women's rights movement in the United States. It was here that she met fellow suffragist Lucretia Mott, and together they drafted the Declaration of Sentiments, which demanded equal rights for women, including the right to vote. This document was modeled after the Declaration of Independence, and it included a list of grievances against the patriarchal society that denied women basic rights and freedoms. Throughout the 1850s, Elizabeth traveled and spoke at numerous conventions and rallies, tirelessly advocating for women's rights. She also co-founded the National Woman's Suffrage Association with fellow suffragist Susan B. Anthony in 1869. The organization focused on achieving women's suffrage through a constitutional amendment. Elizabeth's speeches were powerful and compelling, and she often used biblical references to argue for women's rights, stating, "The Bible and the Church have been the greatest stumbling blocks in the way of women's emancipation." In addition to her work for women's rights, Elizabeth was also a vocal advocate for other social issues, including abolitionism, temperance, and labor reform. She believed that the fight for women's rights was interconnected with these other social issues, and that true equality would not be achieved until all marginalized groups were treated equally. As she grew older, Elizabeth continued to be an active leader in the women's rights movement. She wrote numerous articles and books, including her autobiography, 80 Years and More, which was published in 1898. She also played a crucial role in organizing the International Council of Women in 1888, which brought together women from around the world to advocate for their rights. Elizabeth's tireless efforts and unwavering determination finally paid off when the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote, was ratified in 1920. Sadly, Elizabeth did not live to see this historic moment, as she passed away in 1902 at the age of 86. However, her legacy continues to inspire future generations of women's rights activists. In conclusion, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was a trailblazer and a pioneer in the fight for women's rights. Her unwavering determination, passion, and resilience have left a lasting impact on the history of the United States. She once stated, "The best protection any woman can have is courage." Elizabeth's courage and determination continue to serve as an inspiration to women around the world, and her legacy will forever be remembered as a driving force in the fight for gender equality.